students. I am Dr. Somrita Mondal, Assistant Professor of English, Durgapur Government College. Today, I will be teaching Sir Philip Sidney's sonnet, Loving in Truth. This particular sonnet is the first sonnet of the sonnet sequence Astrophil and Stella. This particular sonnet sequence was published in the year 1591. It was published posthumously 5 years after the death of Sir Philip Sidney. Sir Philip Sidney was an Elizabethan poet and also a courtier. Now let us first analyze the meaning of the title of the sonnet sequence Astrophil and Stella. What does this mean? The word astrophil comes from two different words, Greek aster and phil. It means star lover. Greek aster means star and phil means lover. Therefore, astrophil means star lover. And stella is the Latin word for star. So we can understand from this title that this sonnet sequence is about unrequited love. It is about unfulfilled love. Love of the stargazer or the star lover for the star. And in this particular sonnet sequence, astrophil refers to Sir Philip Sidney and Stella refers to Penelope Devereux, who after marriage to Lord Rich, she became Penelope Rich. And this particular sonnet sequence, it contains 108 sonnets and 11 songs. Now let us read the poem, the first sonnet, Loving in Truth, and analyze it in details. The poet says, the speaker lover, loving in truth and fame in verse, my love to show, that she, dear she, might take some pleasure of my pain. Pleasure might cause her read, reading might make her know, knowledge might pity win, and pity grace obtain. In the first quatrain, the speaker lover states his purpose, his objective, and he says, I want to compose a verse, I want to compose a poem that will be expressing my emotions, my feelings, and my ultimate aim is to win the grace of his beloved. He says, loving in truth. He says that my love is true. Now we can analyze, we can interpret the word truth from two perspectives. It might mean that the emotions of love, his feelings are true and genuine. It might also mean that the object of his love, that is his beloved, his Stella, is not a fictitious woman but a real life person whose name is Penelope Rich. So loving in truth and fame in verse my love to show. The speaker lover says, I am extremely desirous of expressing myself in verse or through poetry, that she, dear she, might take some pleasure of my pain. He is repeating the word she in order to express the intensity of his emotion. He wants to suggest that this particular person, Stella or Penelope, referred to as she in the second line of the sonnet, is extremely important for him. That is why he repeats the word she. That she, dear she, might take some pleasure of my pain. Now once again we can interpret the word pain from two perspectives. One, it might refer to the pain that he is undergoing as a lover, the pain of unrequited love, the pain of unfulfilled love. And second, it can also refer to the hardships of creative writing. So the speaker lover says that my Stella will be deriving some pleasure from this pain. And pleasure will make her read. Pleasure might cause her read, and reading might make her know. By reading his poem, she will come to know the feelings and his state of mind, what he is undergoing. Knowledge might pity win, and this particular knowledge about his state of mind will move her to pity. And pity grace obtain, and ultimately he will attain the grace of his beloved. What is grace? Grace is the highest attainable divine virtue. Now this is very interesting. He is not talking about marriage. He is not saying that I want to get married to his beloved, or like the speaker of Andrew Marvell's Coy Mistress, he is not seeking physical union. But he says that I want the grace of my beloved, which is the highest attainable divine virtue. Here ends the first quatrain of the sonnet, where he states his purpose, his objective. Then in the second quatrain, he talks about his preparation, the measures that he is taking to compose good poetry for his beloved. He says, I sought fit words to paint the blackest face of woe, studying inventions fine, her wits to entertain, oft turning others' leaves to see if thence would flow some fresh and fruitful showers upon my sunburnt brain. In the second quatrain, he says that I am seeking, I am trying to find appropriate words, fit words, words that would suit my feelings, my emotions, my purpose. And I want to paint the blackest face of woe. In this particular line, the poet is imagining woe or suffering or sorrow as a person having a face. And what is the color of the face? Blackest. It is not just black, but it is blackest. Blackest suggests the excruciating pain that he is undergoing as a lover. Blackest is suggestive of the intensity of the pain that he is undergoing. That is why he is referring, or he is describing the face as of blackest color. I sought fit words to paint the blackest face of woe, studying inventions fine. The speaker lover is saying that I am preparing myself by going through the literary creations of other poets. Inventions mean the literary creations, the literary compositions of other poets. He is studying them thoroughly so that he can entertain her wits. Wits mean her cultivated and chiseled intelligence. She is no riffraff. She is not a commoner. Her tastes are very cultivated, very chiseled, and he wants to cater to that cultivated intelligence. And the speaker lover says, oft turning others' leaves. He is turning the pages of writings, the pages of books written by other poets, other writers, to see if thence would flow, if from there would flow some fresh and fruitful showers upon my sunburnt brain. Now, why is he doing this? Why is he reading the works of other poets, the literary creations of other poets? He is explaining this through a beautiful comparison, which is very pictorial. He is comparing his brain with a field. Just as a parched field and infertile land needs showers of rain so that it can yield crops, in a similar fashion, his brain requires showers of inspiration so that it can produce poetry. So this is the comparison. The poet is comparing his mind with a field. Just as a sunburned, infertile field needs showers of rain to produce crop, to yield crop, in a similar fashion, the poet's mind needs showers of inspiration so that it can produce good poetry. Now, the speaker lover feels that by going through the pages of other writers, he will be able to derive inspiration. He will get inspired by the writings, by the creations of other writers. That is why, this is the reason why he is reading and going through the literary compositions of other poets. But he is accosting a problem. But words came halting forth, wanting invention's stay. Invention, nature's child, fled, stepped in, study's blows, and others' feet still seemed but strangers in my way. Thus great with child to speak, and helpless in my throes, biting my truant pen, beating myself for spite. In the next quatrain, he talks about the problem that he is facing. He is accosting while trying to write good poetry. What is the problem? Words are not coming out from him in a very smooth manner, but rather it is coming in a very halting fashion, in a very stumbling way. And the speaker lover is trying to analyze the root cause. Why is this happening? And once again, he explains this with the help of a comparison, and he refers to the mother-child relationship. He says that study is like a stepmother. Study is like a stepmother to invention. In this line, invention means the creative faculty, the originality, which is very intrinsic to human nature. So invention, or one's originality or creative faculty, is the biological child of nature, but it is the stepchild of study. Why? Because study is something external. As you study from other sources, or as you go through other sources, you impose something from outside. So study is like a stepdame. And just as a stepmother beats his child and the child goes away, escapes in order to escape the blow and abuse that he receives from his mother in a similar fashion because of study. His faculty to create, his originality, it is flying away, it is going away, it is diminishing. So according to the speaker lover, according to the poet, this is the reason why words are coming forth in a very halting manner, in a very stumbling way. Invention, nature's child, fled, stepped dim, studies blows, and others' feet still seemed but strangers in my way. The speaker lover is saying that I am reading a lot, but others' poetry, others' footsteps, they are not matching my feelings. They appear to be strangers to my feelings, to my emotions. They are not appropriate for me to express my feelings. Thus, and others' feet still seemed but strangers in my way. And now the poet is in a very problematic situation. And he is once again referring to the mother-child relationship. He is continuing with the mother-child relationship, and he says, "'Tis great with child to speak and helpless in my throes." The poet is comparing himself to a fully pregnant mother. Why? The poet feels, or the speaker lover feels, that just as a pregnant mother suffers a lot and experiences labor pains on the verge of giving birth, in a similar fashion, the poet is also experiencing excruciating pain, intense pain, because he is filled with emotions, but he is not being able to express them. So his condition is just as pathetic as a fully pregnant mother suffering the pangs of childbirth. Now here is another suggestion. And what is it? According to Sir Philip Sidney, one's creation is like her own child. Thus great with child to speak, and helpless in my throes, biting my truant pain. The poet is now desperate, and out of anger and frustration, the poet is hitting himself. The poet is hurting himself. He is biting his truant pain out of desperation. These are gestures of desperation. Truant pain, truant means disobedient. It is as if the pen is not obeying him. The pen is behaving like a truant schoolboy, like a disobedient schoolboy, and it is not listening to him, and it is not producing appropriate words. And the poet is biting this truant pen, beating myself for spite, out of anger, out of frustration. The poet is hitting himself. Then what happens? The goddess of poetry comes, Muse comes to his rescue, and the Muse says, "Fool," said my Muse to me, "look in thy heart and write." This is the advice given to Sir Philip Sidney, to the speaker lover of this particular sonnet, that look in your heart and write. What is the meaning of this? You need not look outside. You need not go through the creations of other poets. Delve in your own heart and write. The suggestion is that if you delve and if you explore your heart, you will find Stella. Stella is your ultimate source of inspiration. She will inspire you to write poetry. You need not look outside. This concluding line is also an advertisement. What is that? In the concluding line, the poet very strategically advertises that this particular sonnet and the rest that will follow are original creations. These are Sir Philip Sidney's own. These are original creations. and these are not imitations. Thank you so much.